Tesseract Ark Tactics. Time for some more Forge World Necrons.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, another Forge World Necron tactical video for you, and this one we're going to cover the Tesseract Ark. Before that though, if you would like to keep up to date with the wonders of Warhammer 40k, then please give me a sub and hit the bell button so you don't miss an upload. Okay, so the Tesseract Ark, which I have to say isn't my favourite Forge World model ever. However, we're not here to talk about the model, we're here to look at the rules. So let's start off by looking at its stats. Okay, so the Tesseract Ark is a heavy support choice. Its movement at full strength is 12 inches. Its weapon skill is 6+. Its ballistic skill changes depending on how many wounds, but starts off at 3+. It's strength 5 and toughness 7, and it has 10 wounds. Its attacks also change as it takes wounds, but starts off with 3 attacks. Its leadership 10 and has a 3+ save. Its keywords factions are Necrons and Dynasty. Its keywords are Vehicle, Fly and Tesseract Ark. Okay, so the Ark is a single model in the unit and comes in at 246 points with the standard guns. That's just over the cost of 3 heavy destroyers. So first of all, we're going to have a look at its guns and see how comparable it is to heavy destroyers. So the first and main gun is the Tesseract Singularity Chamber, and this gun has 3 shooting options. First is the Solar Fire, and this is a massive 48-inch gun. It's strength 8, it does D6 shots, -3 AP and does D6 damage. So it has a longer range on the heavy destroyer. It's not quite as strong, it's not quite as good AP, but it does have D6 shots. Now it is a heavy weapon, but unlike the heavy destroyers, if you move, you will be reduced in your ballistic skill. However, it's still got a bigger range than heavy destroyers. When we take a look at some of the extra abilities of this thing, it's going to be a little bit more survivable than heavy destroyers as well. Okay, so the second option is the Seismic Lash. This also is a D6 amount of shots. However, it's an assault weapon, so you can move and shoot it. It's strength 5, -4 AP and does 3 damage. This is an awesome gun for taking out those infantry units with multiple wounds. It's really nice to have an option for shooting infantry as well as shooting big things with lots of wounds with the big gun. And not only that, we have a third option. So the third gun is basically a flamer. It's 8 inches, it's an assault weapon with D6 hits. It's -2 AP and inflicts 1 point of damage. However, it automatically wounds anything that's not a vehicle on 2+. So this is very much an infantry killer. So this little vehicle has a lot of killing power, and this is just the main gun. So as a secondary gun, it comes complete with 2 Tesla cannons. So you've got 6 shots at strength 6 with no AP, and any 6s you get 2 additional hits. We're quite familiar with this gun and it's a nice option to have. It keeps the model points down. Now you do have the option to take particle beamers and also Gauss cannon. The Gauss cannon is quite a bit more expensive, however it could be an option. So I think you can see already there the killing power of this little tank is really nice, and it also moves 12 inches. Now as I said, that is a heavy gun, so if you're shooting the big gun, you will be reducing your ballistic skill, which means that the heavy destroyer tactic where we hide the heavy destroyers in deployment and then bring them out into the open in turn 1 to shoot and still shoot on our normal ballistic skill isn't quite as good with the Ark. However, it is more survivable than heavy destroyers, and the reason for that is in its abilities. So the first ability is a Containment Field, and this gives us a 5+ invulnerable save. Yay! Awesome. 5+ invulnerable save, you cannot argue with that. And that does mean that you are going to be a bit more survivable out in the open. And don't forget, this thing has 10 wounds, but not only that, it has quantum shielding, which means you're not going to be too susceptible to those long range guns that do lots of damage. So that again makes it really survivable, and on top of all of that you have living metal, so you can regain a wound each and every turn. Now we've talked more about quantum shielding etc. in this video here, so why not check that out if you're interested. Now the Ark also has one more ability, gravitational flux, and this is another great ability. So whenever someone assaults your Ark, they have to roll one extra assault dice, and then they disregard the highest dice. So it makes it more difficult for people to get into assault. However, don't forget, this thing's got the fly special rule. So if you do get into trouble, you can still come out of assault and shoot your guns. Now, as always, being a vehicle in 8th edition, this thing is going to explode if it loses all of its wounds. And it actually explodes fairly easily on a 4+. And it's a 6-inch range, and it's D3 mortal wounds to anyone that's within 6 inches. So just be mindful of that once this thing starts to get low on wounds. So that is the Ark covered, and I have to say, what an awesome unit this is. In actual fact, I can't really find anything wrong with it, apart from the model doesn't look that great, in my personal opinion. However, on the table, it is awesome. And in actual fact, I think it's probably one of the best units that we have. I think it's got more survivability, more durability, more versatility than 3 heavy destroyers. Now what I like the most about the Tesseract Ark is the style of play. It's more of a sit back and shoot unit, unlike the Tomb Sentinel, which is another awesome unit. Check out that video there if you haven't done so on that model. Well, that model is designed to be close to your enemy, whereas the Tesseract Ark definitely can be sitting back and shooting. And I would suggest having a couple of these in your army is going to be very, very good for your Necron force. Now, that's just my opinion, but what do you think? Have you used this model? How are you getting on with it? How many do you use in your list? Let me know in the comments box below. Beam me up!